Today I'm going to show you how this KREG jig works to create pocket holes, so that way you can join two boards together. This is the K4 version. I'll make sure to provide a link to everything I'm using in the description below. Hope you enjoy the video. So this is the jig that you get with the KREG system. You have a spring-loaded clamp here that can be adjusted to different lengths and sizes here. You also have this adjustable piece here, which is where you will drill out your pocket holes. So on this piece, it says board thickness. So you want to find the thickness of your board and set the jig to that mark. For this example, I'm just going to use a standard 2x4, a scrap piece of 2x4. So if I look at the thickness of my 2x4 is 1.5 inches thick. So I'm going to set my jig, or my board thickness, to 1.5 inches. So that way when I drill out these pocket holes, they will be at a perfect depth. So I tighten this screw here to lock it in place. Now it can't go up or down. And I'm set at 1.5 inches for my pocket holes. Make sure you pay careful attention of which side you want the pocket holes to go into, facing where you'll actually be drilling into. So I'm going to go ahead and place this board, kind of align it in the center here, and then lock my clamp into place. And now my board is ready to drill out. They will give you 3 different options of where you want to drill your pocket holes into this board. For this standard 2x4, I'm going to go on the outside holes, but I could also use these two or the two that are closest together if I'm working with a smaller board. I recommend always putting 2 pocket holes in when you're trying to join 2 boards together, rather than just putting in 1 pocket hole. The drill that they give you to work with this jig is a specialty drill, and this is what it looks like. And it is designed with this stopper on it.
You can use an Allen key or an Allen wrench to adjust where the stopper sits on this drill, which will account for different size screws that you could be using in your pocket holes.
And when it's done drilling into the wood as far as it wants to, the stopper will hit the jig, and that'll tell you to stop drilling down and to pull the drill back out. What you're going to find is that the wood will build up in these grooves. So sometimes it's better to go in halfway, pull some wood out, and go back in the full or all the way, and then pull the remainder of the wood out. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So I have it attached to my drill now, and I'm just going to drill out this first hole here. See the wood come out and the stopper work the way it's designed to work. Then we're going to go ahead and drill out this opposite hole as well. Release the clamp, and you will find your 2 pocket holes are drilled out to help you join these 2 boards together and hopefully hide your screws. Notice that they are perfectly the same. They're not poking out the back at all or the other side. So that's why you use these measurements on this jig to drill out pocket holes like that. Now, the other thing you can do with this jig, especially if if you're using larger boards or longer boards, sometimes this standalone jig is difficult to handle. So if you're using a larger board or a wider board, sometimes the best thing to do is to use this part of the jig that comes separately in the box, in the K4 box, And same thing here, we're just going to loosen this knob, and this will slide into the jig, and we can take it around and use it on whatever board we want. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to adjust this to 1.5 inches for my board thickness and tighten that in place so that can't move now. And I'm going to bring in my other board, okay, and just kind of show you how this works. So same thing here, I can now drill in for my pocket holes. Pay careful attention of where you want your holes to be heading towards, right? So if I want my holes to be heading the same way as I did on this first board, I'm going to place this clamp, I'm going to place this jig on this board, okay? And again, this is better if you're using a larger board or something that you can't get in to the standalone jig. Do not make the mistake of just trying to hold this down and drill. That's not going to work. It's going to slide all over the place on you, okay? So instead, you can take a clamp, and they actually give you a spring-loaded clamp that you can use, or you can use any other type of clamp that you can find. Make sure it's flat on the board and in the center of where you want it. And then you can clamp, and you can adjust this clamp to make it wider or more narrow. And you can clamp the jig onto the board. And that'll snap in, and it'll hold it super tight, okay? And then from here, I can use the same drill and drill my holes out this way, okay? The same process, but using this clamp, I can move the jig around and I don't have to use the standalone jig. Sometimes, especially if you're using a super wide board, if you put it in like this, this side could slant, or the weight of the board will make it impossible to stand up. So this jig is awesome, but I love the feature that allows you to make the jig portable and move it back and forth between the handheld and the standalone jig, okay? So I have my pocket holes drilled out, and I want to join my pocket holes with this board. KREG has specialty screws. This is an example of the KREG screws. They're pocket hole screws. This is going to be 2.5 inch screws for the 2x4s. The reason we use 2.5 inch screws, they make this super user friendly. You're going to look at your material thickness and then match that up to the screw length that you need. So again, I'm working with a standard 2x4, which is 1.5 inches thick, and that's going to show me that I need a 2.5 inch screw. Is I want to use the drill bit that they give me with the KREG installation. Now you can buy these long drill bits, or you can buy a shorter version of these drill bits.
You always want to use the KREG drill bit when you can, because these screws will stick right onto the end, and it makes it super convenient when they don't fall off on you.
I'm going to put it into my pocket hole. And screw it together until it's snug. Do not over screw. Same thing. Second screw. Until it's snug. And then what I've just done is I've joined these two boards together, and I have nothing coming out the back or the end. It's a lot nicer than screwing in on this side and having these screws exposed. And they're hidden now inside of these pocket holes. Now, a lot of people like to just leave these pocket holes like this. It's not a terrible look. Like I said, you can't see the screws, but KREG has made a way to conceal these pocket holes. And it is with these paint grade pocket hole plugs. And you can see what they look like here, and it's kind of a one-size-fits-all deal. We open these up, and it's a little plug that is angled to fit into the pocket hole. So let me show you how this works. Basically, you can slide this in to your pocket hole to fill the hole, and then you can sand it, you can stain it, you can paint it, you can do whatever you need to do with it. What I like to do is I like to put just a little bit of wood glue in the hole. And then you're going to take your slanted side here and you're going to turn that up. And this fits into your pocket hole.
So that's how you make easy pocket holes using this KREG Jig K4. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. Remember, hit that like button, and I always appreciate people subscribing to my channel.